When you hear about an investor, you probably think of someone that's constantly analyzing the market, makes long-term trades, and clocks in at 9:30 and clocks out at 4. Most of all, you think of someone that studied finance and economics and used their knowledge of companies to make incredible trades. Jim Simons is not your average investor. He never clocked in at 9:30. He sells his stocks only 2 days after buying on average. And funnily enough, he never studied economics or finance. He went to MIT for mathematics. Jim Simons, otherwise known as the Quant King, is responsible for the widespread use of quantitative investing. His hedge fund, Renaissance Technologies, manages about $55 billion. Its crown jewel, the Medallion Fund, manages $10 billion. The Medallion Fund has been returning 66% or 39% after fees on investments since 1998. James Hare Simons, or Jim Simons, grew up in Brookline, Massachusetts. He went to MIT for a bachelor's degree in mathematics and got his PhD in mathematics at Berkeley. Life doesn't always follow the trajectory you think it will. If you're in high school right now and thinking that your life is laid out for you already, as in you go to college, hopefully get an internship at business, enter the workforce, and give everything you have to your industry until you get your dream job, you're probably wrong about how straightforward your life is going to be. Jim Simons is the perfect example of someone's life which seemed to be planned out since he entered college, but his life was far from straightforward. Looking at what he studied, you would have thought that he'd be a professor at MIT and Harvard and do some research while there for the rest of his life, while gaining more recognition in mathematics and maybe achieving a field award. James Simons was anything except what you expected from him. He became a code breaker for the Pentagon while he was a mathematics professor at MIT and Harvard. Then he made a decision that would change his life forever. He created the hedge fund Monometrics. In 1978, he wanted to use his knowledge of mathematics to crack the stock market. This hedge fund allowed Simons to realize how pattern recognition could be used to analyze the stock market. While running Monometrics, Jim Simons was moderately successful, but still felt the emotional swings of the market. After 1982, he renamed Monometrics to Renaissance Technologies. The main goal of his rebranded hedge fund was to find patterns in the market. To do this, he first needed massive amounts of data. He accumulated data as far back as the 1700s, and if there were holes in the data, they would make educated guesses on what should have been there. He checked for any pattern he could, if gold led silver prices, if Brazilian weather affected coffee prices, and how currency fluctuations affected each other. Although some of these patterns provided great success for the new sprawling hedge fund, a lot of the patterns proved unreliable. Eventually, Jim Simons decided to hire a friend of his, Rene Carmona, a professor at nearby University of California, Irvine. Carmona had experience with creating stochastic equations, which can make predictions using data that seems random. A great example of the use of these equations is weather forecasting models, which generate reasonably accurate estimates. Simons and the rest of Renaissance Technologies viewed the market just like weather forecasting. Although they might not be right 100% of the time, being right most of the time would still be fantastic. By 1987, Carmona wasn't making much progress, so he decided to reanalyze the ongoing strategy of Renaissance Technology as a whole. He found that Simons was using simple linear regression models, which analyzed the relationships between two datasets and assumed the relationship would remain linear. Rene Carmona decided to restructure the hedge fund around an earlier version of machine learning that he created, in which the computer model would examine the data to see how prices reacted, and then the model would develop a forecasting model capable of detecting hidden patterns. After hours of running, the program would spit out buy or sell decisions. When Carmona first showed this model to Jim Simons, Simons felt scared. Unlike the linear regression models, he didn't understand why this program was giving these decisions. The decisions it was giving just didn't feel right to him. This computer program was the first iteration of Renaissance's black box method. You put something in and it spits buy or sell out. By creating this model, Jim Simons was able to cut out the emotion from stock trading that many investors have to deal with. That is why instead of hiring your normal run-of-the-mill Wall Street investors that have studied finance and economics, Jim Simons hires mathematicians. They can create and evolve these black boxes. Jim Simons singled out the main problem of many investors, emotion, and his foresight to see that data analysis was the key to solving the problem catapulted Renaissance technology into the pantheon of hedge funds. By surrounding himself with intelligent people that could help him out, like Rene Carmona, they were able to create an AI that analyzed the data for them and created the first successful quant fund.